much for joining us on what we've happily called a working lunch with Nordin. Today, unfortunately, we're not able to have our big lunch that what we usually do, where we're usually joined by guests. Of course, in Malaysia, we've gone into a new round of MCO, a new round of lockdown, as some countries will call it. It's actually not that bad. We can still go out and buy food and things like that. So welcome to a working lunch with Nordin. And I've got a healthier selection than last week. I know some of our guests were saying, Nordin, you're eating too many burgers, eating too much heavy food. So I decided to go with a mix of Japanese dragon roll with some avocado and all this kind of good stuff, and a slice of cheesecake. I still got a bit of a sweet tooth. I can't help myself. And apple cider, which apparently is really good for reducing weight. So, of course, I still want to thank my team who are helping out behind the scenes, and of course my lovely wife who helped set all this up. If you ask me to do it like this, and my youngest son who helped put all this lovely stuff together. So thank you very much to them. So today's show, we're talking around the idea of, I think this is one of the things that we noticed in the last MCO, motivation, mental health, morale, really took a bit of a pounding during that time. So I kind of want to just share some ideas around this. And if you have any questions or any ideas also that you want to share, stick them in the chat below. And I don't usually answer the questions online, but I think today we're trying to do it. So yeah, and if we get any questions, we'll try and answer them. But one of the things that we noticed and we kind of want to work on is to kind of look at how we're going to take advantage of the opportunities that this MCO brings us. And while we are in a crisis, there's actually a very good opportunity for companies, for individuals to grow, for companies to grow their revenue base. And I think this is one of the things that we're hoping people start to look at crisis in a different manner. Yes, there's something big going on, but what are the opportunities for your organization? And then looking at it from an individual's perspective, what are the opportunities for personal growth? And that, then we get into the questions of morale, which for me is, how is the team doing? And for me, this morning had a good chat with our team and you all better be watching, otherwise my motivation goes down. But that's just how I work. And really motivation to continue to do things while things are changing. I think it's something that people are looking how to do that and what to do. So we have a few ideas around how to deal with that and how we help companies deal with that and how we help individuals deal with that. So, I just want to share some of those ideas today and also try and share a bit of lunch with you all out there and a healthier lunch at that. And a lesson. It's almost when I start with dessert. So thank you everyone for joining us. So first question is really around motivation and how do we stay motivated during this time? And if we are not motivated, what should we do? I'm not really a big motivational speaker, although I'd love to be. I have like 1,000 people in an auditorium and you say lots of good stuff and then you sign heaps and heaps of books. That's why I see motivation speakers. But really what I think what we do on an individual level is really understand motivation from a personal perspective. and what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning? What is it that allows you to work late at night? You know, and really for me, it's about family, and how do I do that, and the objectives that I want to hit for my family are really the driving motivations for me. And really that one simple key piece of information allows me to make decisions that allows me to then move to the next level. So I say, okay, if I've got to do this, it's because of another reason. So that kind of positively reinforces why I've got to do what I got to do, and I think that's where people sometimes get lost. They've lost motivation because they've lost the understanding that what you do is important for something. You know, and the other thing is, I think it's very important. You should do what you like to do, and you should have fun doing it. And if you're not having fun, you should try and do something else. You know, it doesn't mean that you can just stop what you're doing, and I realize that. But I think one of the things that we should do is engineer situations that you enjoy, engineer realities that you enjoy, design, you know, and this is what my Professor Sohal, I hope you're joining us, is always talks about, is like designing a desired future. And doing that is a difficult reality. And when you start to design a desired future, then you are able to understand what really motivates you, and then you backcast. And really this idea of backcasting. So I want to be somewhere in 5 years. Okay, what am I doing 4 years from now, 3 years from now, 2 years now? What am I doing later today or next week? So this idea of backcasting, designing the future. And so to design a future that you want, you actually have to have an idea of what you want. So it's, you know, and this is where we start to get a little bit into the weeds and into the details of motivation. So you give yourself a bigger picture, and I think that's something that we're seeing, that when you're stuck at home, when you're sitting at home, you're sitting on your bed, you're in, I don't know, on your lounge. This is my lounge, by the way. I hope you like the colors. All this is done by my wife. If you ask me to do it, I'll have a plain lounge that doesn't look nice. The two paintings behind me, also one's done by my son, one's done by my wife. Very talented individuals. If you're the kind of back to this, if you're stuck at home and on your couch, on your bed, and you're thinking, okay, how am I going to be a quote unquote big successful person? You know, there's nothing wrong with doing what you have to do now. And you know, you see time and time again, entrepreneurs have that journey story that involves a little bit of suffering. Actually, it's a lot of bit of suffering at the beginning, and sometimes in the end, and sometimes in the middle. So there's nothing wrong with that. So I think when we go back to motivation, though, when you've designed an end goal in mind, when you've designed the objective, it's actually easier to be motivated because you're actually working towards something, as opposed to like being like a really chirpy, happy person who wakes up in the morning and is motivated and happy and positive, but maybe not moving towards a bigger goal. So this is kind of some of the stuff that we work on personally, and I work on personally. And then the other idea that we kind of put out there was the idea of morale. And so you've got your own personal motivation, but what is your team motivation? And you know, is your team able? Are you able to apply that process to a team? And are you able to then keep the morale high? Or if you take out the word morale, you keep able to take the motivation and the group dynamic towards that objective high. So, okay, sure. Sorry. I'm like trying to read stuff as it pops up. So yeah, so that's really what I personally look at is how we deal with our team. So today's today's show is definitely a cut down version, and we just wanted to say hi to everyone and say make sure everyone is remains positive, remains happy, and just use this kind of like little bits and pieces to kind of stay focused. It's just day one of the lockdown, day one of the MCO in Malaysia. People have done it all over the world. People are doing it now in different forms. And I think the other part of, I think, the psychology of survival, in that sense, the reality is what you'll be able to do is know that this pandemic will end. This current crisis will end. So I think that is where we will see, when you start to realize that, and I think sometimes it's hard to self-motivate with nasty people around us. I agree with you, Grace. Yeah, and I think this is where, I'll finish that idea first. So when we know that the pandemic will end, we know that this big problem will be over. But actually the reality is there'll be another crisis that comes along. So coming to Grace's comment, I agree with you, Grace. And I think that's where you are in charge. And this is where, if you've got nasty people around you, you have to, either move away from that situation or address that person in a way that is dealing with that nastiness. And if you can't get away with that, you have to realize, and sometimes you're stuck in a situation, so you can just get up and go. Sometimes you can't get up and go. But what you can do is understand that that person is nasty for a reason, and you then deal with them in a different way. And you don't, and I've had this experience many times, and I wish I could mention the names, but there was once this kid who was like really annoying to me, like super annoying, and every time I just thought of how to, there must be a way to fix this kid, and I was thinking, oh, this kid should be punished more. And actually the answer was the exact opposite. This kid needed more love. And he was a naughty kid because nobody loved him enough. And when you started to turn that thing around, you realize that once he started to get positive attention in a different way, he started to become a happy person. And then he stopped being an annoying kid. And he's quite a good kid now. So I think so you've got to put yourself in charge of that reality. And I think that, and sometimes you've got to realize that someone is nasty because they themselves have a problem. And you may have to deal with them in a different way. And the other one is Sarah. Hi, Sarah. What can employees do to adapt to working from home as their working environment again? I think everything that, for me, what I do is really simple. Oh yeah, I know, right? I'm gonna eat it soon, don't worry. What I do is, and this is what happened during the first MCO for me. I actually worked really hard during the first MCO, and for me, I went to a place in the house which was my place to work, and you couldn't, in a sense, the other people in the house couldn't contact me. I was at work during that time. So you need to put yourself in a physical location where possible. That is your work zone. So even if you're in one room, that part of the room, that table, or even that corner, that beanbag, whatever, that's my work zone. I go there, I do my work. When I'm done, I leave that place and I come to this place. I'm gonna have some cake first. So I think using that technique helped me a lot during during the first MCO, and I'm going to use that again. So, the moment we knew that this new MCO was going, I started cleaning out a whole area of the house, and then, later on, I just didn't get a chance to buy a new table, but I'm going to use the old table. But it was that that area that I will use. I'll go there, I'll work, and then I will come home, even though that room is technically in the house. Okay, one idea is to stay away from nasty people to begin with. I agree with you. Anyone who drains you should be left behind, far away. Yes. If you can, stay, because avoid nasty negativity wherever you can. I agree totally. But sometimes you can't avoid it. Sometimes they're a family member. Sometimes they're a boss. Sometimes they're so yeah. So if you can avoid, and of course there's something in psychology we call avoidance conditioning. But when you can't avoid, you have to deal with the problem. You're welcome, Sharon. It's a working lunch, yes. So we have to work. So yeah, and now I know how difficult it is for my guests who don't get to eat properly because they're talking so much. So it's good to be on the other side of this problem. So, okay, yeah. News question. Okay, Dion, thank you for that question around news. Actually, news is, this is a very sensitive question. News, actually, some of the news is actually filtered to you, not from you. So sometimes the news algorithms and your own behavior, will actually design a lot of the news that you consume. So sometimes, in a sense, if you want more positive news, actually search for more positive things, and you'll actually get more and more of that stuff. The algorithm will start to send it to you. But at the same time, what you need to think about, and perhaps this is one idea, is multiple sources of news. And this is one thing that is understanding your own bias, and knowing that you have things. But the reality is news companies make money out of news stories that get seen by the most people because they make money off advertising. So what's most exciting for people will be, in a lot of cases, crises. Excuse me. So I think that is where the problem lies. You are consuming something, you're consuming a product. So you can choose to consume certain products or not. So we'll get into that another day. We'll do something all around media. Okay. If you can't have a one-way conversation telling them how it affected, they may not know. Okay, I agree. It's some problems, and this is one thing I wanted to say, some problems aren't solved with a silver bullet. Some problems actually take quite a long time to solve. Relationship problems, or organizational problems are actually long-term problems. And I think that is something, when we go back to morale, you end up sacrificing, in a sense, the levels of morale that you've been developed in your team to deal with one specific problem. And I think that's something that we've seen over the years as well as a problem, that you can't get over this small problem. So it becomes a kind of game-ending problem for your team. If you get stuck in those situations, you've got a crisis on your hands. It may not be a COVID-19 crisis, but the reality is it's a crisis, because at the end of the day, we're all in teams. And if you can't work as a team and you can't get your team to be effective, you can't deliver. And I think that's where we're seeing how do we create teamwork in this at-home environment? How do we create teamwork in all aspects of our life? So even for me to get this table together, because I wanted to look nice, that's just how it is. It's a team effort. It wasn't just me. It was people behind the camera saying, up higher, lower, left, right, this kind of stuff. And then the people who cook this food, the people who put all that together. So it's all about teamwork, really. So we've been going for almost quite a while, Jiong. I know that so this is only going to be a 10, 15-minute thing. So I want to just kind of quickly wrap up today and just thank everybody for joining us, and just ask everyone to remain positive. And we will keep doing our shows even from the comfort of home. And if everyone also can stay at home as much as you can, it's only going to be a short period, this lockdown, whether it's 2 weeks or 2 months or well, let's not say 2 years, but let's say it's a period that will end, and it will be something that we will look back upon and say, we survived this, we did well. For me, from a business perspective, I always like to say, people look for the opportunities in this crisis, and don't forget to have a nice lunch. Enjoy while you can the good food, and take the time to prepare a nice lunch and enjoy that, and remain positive during this time. So with that, we'll see you again next week. And thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you to my team. As really all of you who do all the things that you do. I really want to take this opportunity to thank you. And anyone have any questions, put it down below, or you can direct message me later on. It's a pity that don't worry, we'll get you the food soon. You can be one of our guests next time, trust me. All right, I will see you guys soon. All right, catch you later.